All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to today's edition of Viral Faith. Trying out a new platform here, so let me know if you are tracking with us, seeing with us. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section that you're here. I'm going to just welcome everybody. It's Monday. Hope your week is off to a great start. I see my dear wife is playing hooky from school right now and saying hello. She's probably got several monitors up right now watching us. So welcome back. And I am over at the office today, and I just realized my door is, I'm going to probably have to shut that at some point. I'm just a hot mess here. So thank you, Karen. You're so kind. Appreciate that. So very glad that you could spend a few minutes with us here today. We continue to just want to encourage one another in our faith during these interesting days of COVID and get some perspective on how to keep building faith during this time. And so that happens in a variety of formats for us. Sometimes it is just me sharing, or I have a special guest, or have an interview like we have today. So with me, if you don't recognize Pastor Chris Freeman from City Church here in the 07. We are neighbors. Yeah, we're basically neighbors. I'm not as neighbor to you, Chris, as the Groenewegs, but a couple blocks over. So Chris and I go back a ways. I see that might be a diploma on the wall behind you, Chris. We're both Taylor grads. I'll let you decide which of us graduated first, but yeah, we go back. Chris is, I'm so excited what's happening at City Church, because it's where you got your ministry roots, began to get started at the Taylor University campus there on Rudisill. And yeah, thank you for coming and joining us, taking the time out of your schedule today, Chris. Welcome.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Joe. Good to be here and hang out with you guys. And yeah, it is a cool Taylor connection. I remember being at one of those services when I was a student there. So yeah, man, life has come full circle. I was the last graduating class of Taylor Fort Wayne, and I often joke that I shut the campus down so that one day I could move my church into it. So that's what we've done.
That's right. If you're not familiar with City Church, they are meeting on the old Taylor University campus, and probably getting ready to outgrow that, but it's cool to see what's happening over there. And I know your heart for mission, Chris, is to be a church that connects for people who don't have faith and are wondering and exploring. And I know you guys are faithful to that mission, and I appreciate that so much. So I've asked Pastor Chris today just to come on board and talk about what is building faith in him and his household, and then also the household of faith there at City Church. You know, clearly, as we've been talking, there's been tons of disruption happening for all of us on all kinds of levels. And so, Chris, what's happening in your life, in your community, that could kind of edify us in this regard that we can learn from?
Yeah, man. Big question, and I could probably talk longer than I should to give you an answer. But just a few thoughts. One is, like everybody, we're all in the same boat of disruption, and that's what I have often described as kind of a best case scenario where, I'm still employed. My wife is still employed, but she's a teacher, so she's home and able to be with our kids and still accomplish what she needs to for school. and our family's healthy and safe. And so, first of all, we're just really thankful out of all the different scenarios that could be playing out for our family that we're in a really good position, and that those things that you often take for granted, right? Like having a job and having good health and those sort of things have become so much more evident as just tremendous blessings from God for us right now. And so,
Right.
So yeah, I think it's just kind of bringing us back to the basics and realizing how much we have to be grateful for, and learning through this disruption. I have a friend named Tom Bernardo who is a kind of a church planting guru, and he wrote an article last week to churches, basically saying now is the best time to go ahead and kill those sacred cows. Whatever that thing is that your church has been holding on to for a long time, and you need to get rid of it, you need to let it go. Like, go ahead and let coronavirus kill that sacred cow. But for us, like, it's just helped us to evaluate, like, okay, hey, what are the things that really matter, and what are the things that we thought were really important, but honestly were maybe distractions from God Himself, or distractions from the call that He's placed on our life. And so I think this season has definitely provided that opportunity for our church. What are the things that really matter, the things that we were doing or were a part of our daily routine or our life that we really didn't need to be doing or to be holding on to. So.
Chris, that's really helpful. It seems like there's something in that, and you might consider if there's something that you could kind of share with us, whether in your context personally or with your church, that you're wondering about as a potential slaughter of a sacred cow. And I throw that question out to those who are joining us today. Does that resonate with you? Is there something, I like the way you said that, Chris, something that's maybe interfering with your life and faith development, that it's always been there, but it's getting in the way now because it's either been kind of like a crutch or something that used to have more importance than it needs to in this season? I wonder if you're tracking with that. I wonder if you could comment about anything that kind of fits into that space of something that's not really helpful right now to your faith and to your development. I'm thinking about that as well too. Chris, what would you say in more of a specific kind of example of something you're wrestling with a little bit?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if this is super specific, but one area just in general that I've been really evaluating is the pace at which I was living my life pre-COVID, and this shutdown. And I think that especially when it comes to ministry, there's kind of this mentality that can creep in that, like, man, we've got to always do more. We've always got to take on more, and you've always got to say yes to everything. You got to keep moving because ministry feels so sacred, and it is sacred. But this season has really forced me to evaluate, man, like, was I filling my calendar so full that I wasn't actually creating enough space just to rest and to spend time with the Lord, spend time with my family, with my kids. And, I think that, we've all had to shift. I'm sure you guys have too. I used to preach on Sundays. I now preach on Thursdays, and then it airs on Sundays.
Yeah.
So still having, but at the same time, like, I'll be honest with you, Joe, I have really, really enjoyed waking up on Sunday morning and actually seeing my family. Like, that's been a crazy experience to
Yeah.
have, and that I haven't had for a long time. And not that, I'm not trying to complain. Like I love ministry and love the church, but just, asking that question, man, was I running at such a fast pace that that I wasn't allowing just space for God to move and work in my daily life.
I think that's true. I can really relate to that. What about the rest of you? And if you're just joining us, Chris just dropped this nugget a minute ago about maybe this season being the season to let some things die that might appear spiritual, but maybe are not feeding faith. And this is a good time to let those sacred cows just kind of waste away. And you're right. This forced isolation, or the staying at home and reducing the level of noise and busyness, I think there's a lot for both of us, and as pastors, but even more just as Christ followers, that we can all relate to some rhythms that we need to let go of, pressure and stress and that sort of thing. I've found it helpful to return to some physical workout routines. I mean, I normally keep that as a part of my just trying to stay healthy, and wintertime is the crucial part for that. But that's one thing that the forced slowdown is helped me be able to do something more, not easily, because you still got to go do it, but like it's created room for that. Yeah, what about, I see some Me Too's. Liz saying, church being completely separate from children. I always thought it was convenient having kids in church. I love finding ways to engage them Sunday and worshiping with them on their level. So maybe an dependence on children's ministry, as important and as good as that is. Chris and I will both tell you, your children's ministry workers are not the primary people responsible for faith development. And I know, Liz, you know that too. That's why you're saying that. You're just coming back to this notion of this is actually an opportunity to work that out. I really appreciate you saying that. Beck, you talked about being challenged in your personal commitment to your own pleasure, doing what I want when I want. This season has caused me to evaluate how often I want what I want. Oh man, that's some pretty vulnerable and clear words to us that hit all of us on some level, for sure. Yeah, what else are you guys thinking? Hello, Janelle. By the way, Janelle Lane just came on, and Sherry France. Rick, good to see you out today. Again, we're with Pastor Chris, if you're just joining us, talking about challenges to our faith to grow deeper. And Chris brought up this idea of, letting some sacred cows die during this season. I think what you said really resonates with me too. Thinking about, I don't know, maybe this is the pastor's things, but maybe you all can relate to it, is this idea of slowing down, particularly with time spent with family. This is a different look on schedules during this time. So I appreciate that. So what does that look like for you, Chris? Are you guys going to go back to preaching on Sunday, or like what's your thoughts about how we move this into the future? Do you have any?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think eventually, yes, we will be back to a Sunday gathering and preaching on Sundays and those sort of things. But I do think one of the lessons that I've had to learn over and over and over again is the difference between being a mile wide and so us to do, and being laser focused on whatever it is that God's called you to do. And so I think for us, it's, even with our staff team and our elders, we've been having conversations as a church body about like, what is it that God has really called us to do? Why do we exist? And then, just kind of learning to just realign ourselves again with that call and that focus. And in order to be able to do that, you've got to let go of things, and you've got to let go of even really good things. That in order to be able to do great things, you've got to say no to some really good things. And so yeah, I think for us, there are definitely going to be some things that we're letting go of, some things that we won't do as much of, but also that may mean we do new things. And I've personally been trying to work on like, how do I even align my schedule and my calendar to prioritize the things that I say matter most. So, if I really believe that my family is my first calling, then how am I prioritizing that so that they're my first fruits and my very best?
Yeah, that's been our challenge too around the fellowship community. I think today was day 64 of 6 a.m. prayer time, which many of those watching participate or connect to that on a regular basis, and I'm glad for that experience. But it connects to, I had this experience Sunday. I've been doing some live stream teaching for the last couple of weeks. And I normally have a group of people who support in prayer, but everything and pray for me prior to the gatherings. But that's been so contorted over the last 2 months. We did a lot of taping on Wednesdays and Tuesdays as well, and so that was one thing I left for a minute. It wasn't a bad thing; it was a very good thing, and I kind of displaced the prayer focus more onto these 6 a.m.s for me personally, which was something that I kind of took away. But for a minute, I left this praying on Sunday mornings kind of thing behind just for a second, and I very much felt the lack of it. I don't know. In taping, it just feels so weird. You get what I'm saying when you just show up and nothing's ever quite the same in this period. Well, anyway, very short to say. I made an appeal to those guys if they wanted to come over to the church prior to the live stream, that I would love their prayers. And I had these 6 faithful guys at fellowship just surround me in kind of just outside the doorway, and it was a powerful moment. And I was thinking that's an example of something. It's also true that you could leave something behind for a moment. That's what's required, but then you can pick it back up and enter into it in a new way after God has done a work in your heart or the hearts of those that you're connecting around. Whatever, in this case, it happened to be about prayer, but it could be some sort of ministry outlet or initiative where the Lord is going to use this time to refresh what it is He always wanted that thing to be anyway, because we in the church are really good at starting out with the right idea, but then over time, even small things can become institutionalized. Yeah. And that's when you feel like, this is good, but maybe I'm just going through the motions on it. I don't know if y'all can relate to something in your life like that. Chris says, the slowdown has provided opportunity to think on and decide if good things are really what Jesus is asking me to take on, or my own ideas or somebody else's, which goes right to what you were speaking about, Chris, and is relevant in this prayer time I had just Sunday. And if any of you, were a part of that prayer time, just thank you. I walked away from that experience just thinking how committed you guys are. Some of you came from out of town to show up and pray for me over 10 minutes, and they spoke a word, and so it was powerful. And I'm grateful for that. I don't know, Chris, if that brings anything up in your mind. As I shared, cause you to think about something in that vein.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to the just so we have a similar practice of every Sunday morning when we're gathering in person. I have our prayer team, and I spend a good 15-20 minutes with them, just praying together for. They'll pray over me, but just praying for the church body, and since we've been doing this live stuff, it's or pre-recording and then Sunday morning, posting online, that sort of thing. We've gotten out of that same rhythm, and I feel it the same way you have. And like you said, there's some things that you just have to drop maybe for a season because it just doesn't make sense. But it also can teach you how valuable some things were.
Exactly.
That were like just relationships in general. Like anytime you. Right now, I think all of us, because we're starting to slowly get out of our homes and get around people in small groups again, and you see each other, and you want to just have this huge embrace. And I know everybody's got their own practices and policies around that, but either way, whether you're physically hugging or not, just being in somebody's physical presence right now, even at a safe 6-foot distance, is so meaningful, so valuable, because we haven't had that for so long. And so it's, for me, that's been just such a good reminder that God has wired us for connection and community. He has created us and designed us to be in relationship with each other. And technology is great because we can do things like this. You and I can have this conversation and engage with other people on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, but it's coffee and being in one another's presence. And so I'm definitely looking forward to more of that in the future.
Well, as we think about the future, Chris, I want to end. We online here want to pray for City Church, and what would be one thing that you would direct us towards in prayer specifically for your community? We fully recognize that we are a city of churches. We value City Church. We know that you are making a difference in the 07 and beyond, and you need to be there. And I hope all the fellowshippers that have found their way to City Church haven't got in the way of your efforts to be that church. Hopefully that's been a positive thing.
Yeah.
For you to be a church for not just Christians, but for the surrounding community who is leery of church or Jesus and faith. And so how can we pray for God to get more glory in your community during these days? Anything in particular?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind is just in the last week we've had several people who are part of our church lose loved ones. So I don't think actually any of them were COVID related, but it was just a string of kind of back to back losses of life, of fathers, one mother, and just people who some of them were expected, some of them weren't. And so it's, I'm sure you guys are experiencing this too, but it's just so hard right now to be able to come around and breathing when.
Yeah, have you done some of these funerals during COVID?
No, they are all out of town relatives.
Okay.
So yeah, it's none that are a part of our church. It's just people who go to our church who've lost loved ones. But yeah, I mean, it's just a really hard thing, and so people are trying to come around and support, but I don't know, man. I just I'm of the mindset that man, people just need a hug, like when you lose somebody, you just need somebody to hug you and love you, and it's just really hard to not be able to do that sort of stuff right now. So that's kind of the big thing that's on my mind.
Yeah, well, I'll voice a prayer for that, and I get it. I did a funeral a couple of weeks back, and it's just the weirdest thing to be standing on the cemetery day doing a 10-minute thing and not being able to really embrace folks. So that's hard. And we went through a season a year back or so where there was just a heavy season of loss, and I know that the weight that the lead shepherd feels in that, along with everyone else. So we will definitely take that into account. I'm going to pray now. Thanks so much for taking some time to spend with us. Really appreciate you. Chris and I, we're going to be doing some riding here at some point when you say yes to one of my invitations. And there's more coming, Chris. But we've been getting together on a monthly basis or more with some other area pastors. And so, Chris, just really appreciate you and your faithfulness to do what the Lord is calling you to do, and want to be a cheerleader for you in that. Keep you encouraged. So let's pray. So, Father, thank you so much for this time, about letting go of something for a season or for long, so that you might refresh us and help us to lean more on you, and not take from certain activities or plans or positions something that puts them in the vein of an idol for us. We pray that we would just embrace that this is a season. If we were going to slaughter any sacred cows around us, that we would have the courage and confidence to do so by your Spirit. Give us wisdom in our personal lives and in our corporate lives together as a church. And now I speak your grace and comfort, your hope that indeed you have overcome the world, even though we will have trouble in this world. I speak that over City Church, over Chris, over their staff team, over their elders, as they shepherd and encourage and love on folks, as it's so difficult to lose folks during this heightened season of the pandemic. Everything is strange and different, and we just lament the loss and grieve the loss in a time where it's hard to grieve the loss. And so I pray that you will give them all strength and all comfort, because you are, in fact, the God of all comfort. Thank you for this conversation. Pray that it would edify and encourage people where they're at. And we thank you for this time in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, many thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. It's been great to hang, man. Looking forward to riding with you too.
All right. Well, we are for you guys. We're proud of you and City Church, and thanks for joining us. And we'll be back next Wednesday for Viral Faith. Don't forget Viral Prayer at 6 a.m. every day, and then some evening times as well. So God bless you, and enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you later.